All right, welcome. Please try to really understand this tutorial because if you want to learn Excel, knowing the basics of formulas and functions is so important. Um, it can't be understated. No, I don't. I wonder if I can zoom in here. If you zoom, here's my toolbar here. I don't know if I can zoom in. I'll have to do a bit of research on that. But anyway, I hope you can see this. Maybe what I can do is make the fonts bigger. Maybe that will be a good middle ground, 12-point font, or maybe even bigger. The better you can see, the better you'll understand. Okay, so look at this. If you wanted to add these two numbers, okay, so 2 plus 8. 2 plus 8, you probably know is 10. But some people that are new to Excel, so what I'm going to do is highlight that cell and then say equals. Now I'm going to do it the wrong way, okay? 2 plus 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. Now I'm going to hit enter, and it says 10. You could say, Dwayne, that's easy. But here's the problem. What if I changed this 8? So I wanted to add these two numbers, 2 and 8, make 10. What if I change one of the values to 10? Well, 2 plus 10 is 12. But why does this say 10? Because I had originally said, I had just said 2 plus 8. So in Excel, it's important to use cell references. So what that means is when you make a formula, say equals, and instead of typing the number 2, type the name of this cell. Now this cell here, you see, the cell is called B5. See, it's the column number and then the intersection of the column and the row, B5. Now look here, equals B5, and then I can hit plus, and then I can click here, B5 plus C5. So isn't that cool? So now that's 12. 2 plus 10 is 12. I used cell references instead of hard coding numbers 2 plus 10. I said I want to add whatever's in B5 plus whatever's in C5. So that's a well-formed formula. It uses variables or cell references, which is great. Now, if I change one of the values, say 2 plus 8, well, I changed the 10 to 8, but the value here changed too because I use cell references. I'll do one more addition here. So I'm going to say equals, well, this cell, B6 plus C6. Now I'm going to do something really cool. I'm going to fill down. And you see this little box at the corner here? I'm going to just fill down. And it's going to it's going to apply the same formula, addition. A really quick multiplication, of course, 3 times 3. If I want to multiply these numbers, I could say equals 3 times 3. And by the way, times is an asterisk. 3 times 3. But again, I did it wrong. I don't want to hard code numbers. I want to use cell references. So what I'm going to do is hit equals this cell, B10, times C10. Okay. And we're going to fill down. Now here, this is really cool. 100, how do I get 14% of 100? 14% of $100. Well, you might realize 14% of 100 is 14. Now, how do you get a percentage of a number? This is really important. This will help you out if you understand this. If you need the percentage of any number, you use multiplication. So let's put equals. Now I could say 100% times 14. Sorry, 100 times 14%. And I can hit enter, and the answer is 14. So if you want 14% of 50, well, it's half of the 14, right? Because 50 is half of 100. So 50 times 14% is 7, okay? And again, we could just fill down. Now, division. I'm at 4 minutes now. I want to go quick. I want to keep this tutorial under 15 minutes. So if you got 12 out of 15 on a test, it would be 12 would be your top numerator divided by 15 on the denominator. So again, to do that, we'd say equals. Now I'm going to just go ahead and click that cell, B15, and then division is the slash. So B15 over C15. So can you estimate, if you got 12 out of 15 on a quiz, that would be pretty good. That's about 80%, so I can hit enter. and that's what you get, 0.8. Okay. So if I want to divide this first value by the second value, I've already set that formula here. Notice in the formula bar, there it is. And I can just fill down. And filling down is what you do is you highlight the cell that you like the formula, and you put your mouse over the fill down handle and you left click and fill down. Okay. Now, what are these ranges? And a range is a group of cells. So you look at this little rectangle here. What's the first cell? If you think about how you read, you start reading at the top left to the bottom right if you read English. So what's the first cell here? B22 to B27. So to denote that range, we're going to say B22 colon B27. How about this one? How would you describe this range of cells? So D22 to F23. So D22 colon F23. And we'll do one more. This is H22 to H25. So I'm going to come here. So H22 colon H25. That's a pretty simple idea, this idea of range. You're going to see in a few minutes why we're even talking about range. And that deals with formulas. Say this with me, formulas. Formulas make calculations easier. So watch this. This is really neat. If you owned a car company that had sales in 4 cities and you had some sales statistics, you might want to get the average. Out of all 4 of your cities, what's the average sales? Now you could do a formula that would add up all 4 numbers and divide by 4, but you can actually do a function. Watch this. You can type equals average. Now, as you start to type a function, they actually autocomplete here, average. And then they have average open bracket, so it's some values or a range of values. What you could do is actually, I could type B54 to B57. I want this range, but I actually can run my mouse through that range. And then you close bracket. So that's equals average, and then the argument is a range of cells. Let's hit enter. Okay. Now what if I want the sum of all the cars sold in all 4 of these cities? I could put equals sum, open bracket, and again, I want to highlight the range. I take a nice swath right down the middle. So sum of those four values. Now I could say equals max. I'm gonna do it another way here. Okay, watch. I'm gonna go here. Click the cell. This is another way to do this. You could say equal. You do the summation average, and then with the average, you highlight the range. Okay, sum. Select the cell. Choose the sum function over here, and then choose the range. Max, I want the maximum value there. There's a max function. Max, I have the function there, then I highlight the range. Min, minimum, what's the minimum number? There's a function there for it. So in a way, you don't even have to type out. And then count is a function that counts how many values are in a certain range. Now there's 4 values here, but we'll do it anyway. You might say, why would I want to do that? Well, if you have 10,000 rows of data and you want to count how many values are in those 10,000 rows, let the computer do it. And okay, so we're at the 9-minute mark. Hopefully you're following. If I went too fast, hit pause and rewind. I just show you 2 ways to get functions into Excel. You could actually manually type them out, or this is a really neat quick function. You could also say more functions here. Let's see what that looks like. Wow, there's a whole alphabetical listing of mathematical functions. They're pretty amazing. Yeah, so let's move on. I'm gonna highlight this value here. This little this is really important. If please try to understand what I'm doing here. This is a simple shopping receipt maybe if you had a business, if somebody went into your store and they bought some 2x4s that are 8 feet long, some wooden 2x4s, they cost $2 each or $1.95. You buy 20. What do you give the cashier? Do you add these two numbers, $2 plus 20? If you bought 20 items, $2 each, do you give the cashier $22, or would you multiply these two values? So the answer is you multiply, okay? If you buy 20 items that are $2 each, you got to give the cashier about $40. So let's do a formula here. We're going to say equals the unit price, this value here, B69. Now times is the asterisk, which is all your math operators are, well, all your basic ones, times, division, multiplication, subtraction are on your number pad. So $2 times what value? This one. You know, should I say times 20? No, don't type the number 20. Type the cell reference. So when you do a formula, double check, say $39. Is that about, does that make sense? If I went to a store and bought 20 items for $2 each, it's about $40. 39 is good. Now to get tax, we're going to do a formula. We're going to say equals. Now taxes, we'll say 15%. It's actually 13% now with HST in Ontario, but 15%. Now again, if you want the percentage of a number, the math operator is times. Times. Now should I type $39 or no? I'm going to type 15% times this cell. And again, if you spend $40, about $5 or $6 on tax, that makes sense. If you had $100 on tax on $39, you would know something's wrong and you'd redevelop your formula. Now your total, if your subtotal is 39 and your tax is 585, what is your total? You need to add these two numbers. So I'm going to say equals this value plus the tax, the subtotal plus the tax. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight these three cells, and for the next two rows, it's the same calculation. So I'm just going to fill down. Isn't that cool? You fill down by dragging the fill handle. Now finally, grand total. I could add these three cells. I could say this plus this plus this. I'm hitting the plus sign on my keyboard, by the way, okay? And it comes out to $101. But I'm going to show you another way. Why don't we do a function here? Would you know how to use a function in this cell to add up these three cells? And the function is sum. So highlight the cell, come up here to your functions area and say sum. And then with your sum function here, just choose the range that you want to add. And then hit enter. Oh, that's not good. Enter. Isn't that amazing? So if you change, say you change your mind and you say, I want 25 2x4s. So let's put 25 here. And everything recalculates. Isn't that cool? So my students, formulas, functions, they are wonderful. They take a little getting used to. You should practice. Try to watch this video maybe a few times, because generally I teach this in my classroom. And I have 1 more minute left here. Why don't I try to make a graph? So I'm at 14 minutes. If you're interested, I'm going to show you how to make a graph. I'm going to make a graph by selecting city and cars sold. So if I wanted a graph of Detroit, all these words and all those numbers, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight all that data, and I'm going to say insert chart. Oh, cool. So it's cars sold versus city. I got cities here. I got everything's labeled here. I could literally just hit insert. Wow. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to give you another tutorial on making charts, but I just wanted to maybe introduce the idea to you that you could generate charts. So there you have it, guys. You've done some formulas, you've done some functions. try to understand this one. It's very important. Have a great day. Bye-bye.